You said that you were headed west.
Yep, this is where it all started.
Some kid from Dubuque learning about Dubuque.
Yeah. It's funny, you move away, and then you really appreciate where you came from.
That's for sure.
You don't realize it because I spent my whole life trying to get out of here and
That's funny,
go to
they're like
Hollywood
stuck
and want to make movies and things like that. And only moved about an hour and a half away before I realized I could make a movie right where I was. Yeah, I'll do the shoe location.
First class in us, baby. We'll tell you what's on our minds. We're first class in us, darling. You know it will show you a real good time. Come on, girl. Let's end the night.
Also, we put some big drugs out here, so. Like that a lot. Very nice. There you go. That's even better.
You don't have to like me if you got something better to do. You don't have to call me, but I'd still like to call you. I say something funny. Will you laugh and then ask me to stay?
Uriella is an amazing character to play. She's a lot like myself. She's pretty outgoing. I'm not so sure about the nosy part, but
I relate to Uriella because I'm about her age anyway, so we have the same outgoingness. She's a little nosy in the movie and kind of pushing for answers. I'd never do that.
Yes, you would.
I'm a little bit like
I wrote the character for you.
Okay, I guess I'm a little like her. Exactly.
basically her character is somebody that has lost her parents and her brother. Her parents get killed in a drunk driving accident actually, and her brother gets shot. And so she's pretty depressed, and when she meets Gabriel, she finds comfort in him, and they form this bond that is incredible. And knowing Nick already, it's so much fun working with him.
I like the fact that her and I have similarities, but I don't like the fact that she... I like everything about her. I don't know what I don't like.
I play the character of Chief Flynn. He's a police chief. Well, I describe him as kind of a blue-collar, work ethic type of guy. He's worked his way up through the ranks, probably. He's been a policeman for all of his life, and he believes in hard work. His unswerving loyalty to his friend Gabriel kind of poses a problem for him. He's going to protect his friend, and he's in, of course, a position to be able to do that. And therein kind of lies some of Flynn's own decisions that he has to make, and kind of a mental torture for him. Here's the warrant. What's our plan? He listens to a lot of people's problems, and as he listens, he's got to come up with advice, especially to his best friend Gabriel.
Detective Beck. She's a rather troubled soul, recently divorced, but a hard-working cop, dedicated cop, and she just learns to throw herself into her work despite her personal problems. She puts those aside and throws herself into her work. She's much more dedicated to her job and doesn't sort of puts her feelings aside, and I'm not quite as dedicated as she is, I would say. And I don't always wear French blue. I
play Rafael Rodriguez, and Rafael Rodriguez is kind of best described as a modern-day horse thief, except instead of stealing horses, he steals American muscle cars. I believe Rafael came from a pretty humble upbringing, a tight-knit family, and family actually had their own business going, an auto garage that his brother started. And once Rafael was brought into the mix, I think he kind of brought the criminal element to it.
What are you doing?
I've got some unfinished business to take care of.
Well, watch your back. Are you sure you don't need any help?
I lost my brother because he thought he could help. This business is here because of him. I think he's very used to getting what he wants by force or by the way of the gun. I think that if he had his choice in the matter, no part of the business would be legitimate. I think the whole thing would be criminal activity because he's basically raised it up to this criminal empire that it is.
I play Michael, the brother of Gabriel, obviously. He's a doctor and a surgeon and takes care of him. He was taken care of by Gabriel for a while, Gabriel funded his college and his education, all that kind of thing. He's a lot like me, and at the same time, with there's this dark side, this really concentrated side, and there's also this kind of goofball side. I think everybody needs to have a goofball in them. So. This is a tasty burger.
Shut up. What is that, like a movie light or something?
Pulp Fiction, man. It's a modern classic. You even go to the movies anymore?
Sure I do. I'm always down at the old theater, the black and white ones.
You should really see the color ones. I hear they're catching on. You know, Michael's really smart, and you know, it's almost this stream of consciousness speaking instead of like thinking about what I'm going to say and then the words come out. It's just like what he's gonna say is right there, and it comes out right there. I'm gonna give you a local anesthetic.
You know what? Don't even bother.
You know, you don't have to live with the pain.
Maybe it's the only thing that reminds me I'm still alive.
Are you? Consequently, it sometimes made it difficult to have the lines flow, which is a lot like flow. Flow as smoothly as I liked, but with practice, I think it came through.
I play Scat, who is the, so to speak, the bad guy's business partner in crime throughout the movie, and he's just kind of a, I don't know if you'd call him a lowly mechanic guy, but likes to work on the muscle cars and stuff like that. And Scat seems to be a little bit of a follower, more so sometimes, and just kind of is going along with whatever Scar, who plays the main bad guy in the film, kind of goes along with whatever he's doing at the time for the most part. I was about to take this when he came after me. He was yelling. Before I knew what was going on, I was on top of him, hitting him over and over and over. I couldn't stop. What the hell are we doing this for? I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. This isn't who I am. And I wish he was maybe a little stronger, but I mean, it shows that he's been kind of maybe beaten down into submission to this evil guy. But I like that he gets to work on muscle cars. I talked to the director, and actually, right here in this booth in Platteville here was the first time I met with director Nic Woodward, and to talk about possibly being in the film.
Parts in the movie, I played Michael Chase, which was Detective Chase, and I also was the convenience store thug that actually robbed the convenience store. That was exciting because obviously we're using real weapons, and I always wanted to rob a convenience store. It was a childhood dream. And also I played body double for Nick in the Angel of Death scenes, which was really exciting to do. I was extremely happy with that.
We were able to ID 4 of the 5 guys. The 5th guy's a John Doe. I know this neighborhood. These are local boys, they're small-time dealers.
So this makes number 2 with last night.
What do you mean 2?
It was what I expected and then some. It was by far one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life. I mean, it was fantastic.
I play the character of Gabriel, the main character. He is kind of a lone wolf type character, or at least what you see at the beginning. And as the story progresses, as you learn more about the character, you find out more details about his past. And you realize that he actually started as a normal, average guy, you know, a decent job, a loving family.
God, what the hell are you doing? Do you have any idea what you've just done? I may never get that close again.
I know who you are, and I know what you're trying to do.
Beck, you don't know.
You basically see him at the beginning of the movie as, I guess, an empty shell, a shadow of the person he once was.
Sorry to sit. You tell
Yeah,
him where
but
to sit.
sit down once and look at how it...
Tell him where to sit,
See
you
what I
tell him
mean?
where to frame it.
I think the chair is actually really comfortable. What do you think?
This should do the trick.
Do just about a little bit of everything. There you go. A lot of the sound work, I usually hold the mic boom, and that's me, bottom line.
Driver.
That's me. Absolutely.
All around guy.
And C-store clerk.
Yeah.
How did you like the acting experience?
I didn't know.
It was fun. I was scared to see what I'd look like on a big screen, but so far it isn't too bad. Everybody else says I did okay, so.
Did a fantastic job.
I'm no actor, so.
I believed you were a convenience store clerk.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe next time I can kill somebody. blow some things up.
Working with the jet, working with the Robinson 22, working with the helicopter, incorporating all those into the film, I think would be awesome as far as getting our explosions, trampolines for actual people imploding, having gunshots that look realistic, stuff like that.
I'm gonna go into A-Rise next. Do what?
Let's bring the chopper in.
I'm gonna go into A-Rise. Sounds good. We'll find a spot there.
Where's that chopper?
Now you are going to get some bumps, so if you do get it in there, even just for a second, that's fine.
Yep, no problem.
But yeah, for the most part, I'd like to see this angle, and then if you want to occasionally zoom in, something tight like that, that'd be fine.
I mean, I like the acting part of it, but I think it's a little more demanding as far as that goes to keep Nick happy, because you got to keep this guy happy.
Got to do some camera work. There weren't enough people around, or in certain situations where the people who were normally behind the camera needed to be in front of the camera. I got involved and got to learn a little bit about operating cameras. I also did a lot of setup. I don't know what else to call it. Maybe a grip.
In the movie, I did a little camera work and a lot of carrying bags and carting stuff around, but mostly I did a lot of sound work. I held the sound boom and the boom for the mic, and I tried to get it as close to the actors as I could without getting it into frame, and trying to get as good a sound out of it as I could. In fact, if the sound in the movie, there's parts where it isn't real good, it's probably the editor's fault. Sometimes it was pretty physically taxing, because you have your arms up over your head, and at times it's almost like you can't breathe. You just froze there. And there were times I was almost praying that this scene would get over with, just so I could lower my arms. But it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. Even through that, I enjoyed it.
What do you think of your experience on Gabriel?
I love it. It's exceptional. It's exciting all the time. I want to film right now. Let's break.
Can't hold the board.
Soda!
To gather up the locations that I needed for the film, at first I had no clue how to go about this. One of my first locations that I was looking to get was the convenience store. I had looked to East Dubuque, Illinois at a small shop that was empty, and I talked with the owner and said, hey, look, I'm looking to do this film. I only need the location for 1 month. And as the story went on, I was, hoping to remodel it and do all the filming there as we needed.
Started out, Nick wanted me as a carpenter. We were gonna build our own storefront.
And it just wound up being a huge time and money crunch on the budget that I couldn't afford.
And I got to thinking about it, and since our family business has that same kind of storefront, I suggested that we try and use that.
And I said, that's great. I said, bring it on. I'd love it. And the only stipulation was that we could only be there during non-business hours, which meant that I had to film overnight.
From there, I kind of got inspired and started scouting locations for them on my own. Parks and churches and buildings and garages. And
as far as other locations, we actually got to film in a classic movie theater in Platteville, Wisconsin, the Avalon. A beautiful theater.
Every one of them just seemed to start clicking into place, so that worked out pretty swell. I can't believe I just said swell.
We met a lot of people and saw a lot of nice scenery, and working down in Dubuque was fantastic. I enjoyed that tremendously. The drive down was well worth it.
Other locations in the Dubuque area, St. Mary's Church, there again, I didn't think I'd have any chance at all being able to film inside a real church, let alone outside it. And they were just very helpful, fantastic people that were willing to help me out. And it was unexpected but a pleasant experience.
Our house was being used for the crime scene, which is used in the beginning of the film. When they began to use it for the filming, it was completely gutted out. It had just the studs. There was no insulation, no drywall, no paint. Pretty much we had tarps over the windows and nails and boards. The long hours, we thought it'd only take about an hour, 2 hours at the most, but it ended up taking like 8 hours. And it was hot. There was no air. The filming probably wasn't as fun when you take a couple hours, but working on that part of the movie was a lot of fun. It was definitely something I would do again.
The cars, my favorite part. Originally, the script had called for motorcycles. I'm a huge motorcycle, muscle car kind of guy. So my first love was motorcycles. Because I'd come from a family of motorcycle riding people. I mean, this was just, I thought, the norm. And so I wrote that into the script, and it was, the Raphael character was a modern day horse thief, to quote someone else. And the modern day horse was the motorcycle. Well, the more I went through the casting calls and auditioning actors, I found out that nobody really knew how to ride a motorcycle. And so I thought I had to rethink my plans and switch it to my next passion, which was American muscle cars. And there again, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to round up as many cars that were required for the film. I was hoping at the bare minimum I could maybe get 5 or 6 and squeak by with that. Well, as it turns out, I was able to get everything I needed when I needed it. And someone that was a big help with that was Ron Knobs.
It started at our car show 2 years ago? Year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And Nick was carousing and came up to the registration table and asked if there was anybody that would be interested in using some of their cars in this movie. And my wife was at the table, and I happened to overhear it. And that's how this pretty much all got started.
He was able to corral up a lot of the cars that I needed for the filming. In fact, a few of his cars were actually in the film. He had a couple of GTOs and a Firebird that was in there, and it was just great working with Ron on that. And then another person that was a huge help was Orland Kopis. Originally, I'd planned to film in kind of an empty garage, and I was just going to basically dress it with these muscle cars because, I mean, if you face it, the American muscle car is just a thing of beauty on its own. So I figured it didn't need much of a backdrop to really show it off. But then I got to Orland's garage and I saw this lineup of beautiful Mopars. He must have had a dozen or so classic Mopars that were all in mint condition. He had this garage that was like a showroom floor, checkered tile, beautiful. And then he had the garage part, which was kind of the mechanic part of it. And it was so perfect. I don't think I could have wrote it any better. I saw the place and I thought, this is the location. It was so perfect that he even had a rack of guns on the back of the garage, which really fit into Raphael's character.
The story of Gabriel is really about a tormented man who, through the anguish that grief can bring upon a person, and this just plagues Gabriel because of a tragic situation.
It's about the human condition, or the inhuman condition, if you will. I think it's about a human soul. The character of Gabriel, who seemingly has it all, a beautiful family, a wife and daughter, promising career as a police officer, a brother in medical school. I mean, it's the American dream that he's living. And in one afternoon, in actually one moment in time, everything is taken from him. And he's turned from this world of harmony and love to this world of darkness and hatred and vengeance.
Gabriel loses his family through some incidents that you'll just have to watch the movie to find out what they are. And Uriela loses some of her family. She lost her parents and she lost her brother Miguel. And when Gabriel and Uriel meet, they form this bond that Uriel reminds Gabriel of his little girl, and Gabriel reminds Uriel of her brother Miguel.
There's this other character going around called the Angel of Death that is killing off people and killing off bad guys, or as far as the Angel of Death is concerned, they're bad guys. And at the same time, Gabriel gets himself into this mess, this fight at the gas station, and guns are going off and people are dead. And so people start making this connection because of this kind of vigilante atmosphere about Gabriel, that the Angel of Death is Gabriel.
In the process, he shoots one of the bad guys and ends up going to jail. And while in jail, his wife commits suicide, and the rest of the movie is his attempt to redeem himself and to come to grips basically with life and the unfairness of life, and his pursuit of the man who killed his daughter.
Along the way, he meets a young lady who basically helps him to start to feel normal again. It helps him start to see light at the end of the tunnel, to start healing.
He slowly comes to realize that forgiving himself and his enemy is the only way that he can truly move on with his life and attain a normal life again. But just as he does that, he's presented with his enemy, and then you start to question, well, is he going to live up to his forgiveness, or is he going to take the opportunity to take out his revenge?
But you're not sure through the whole film. Is it Gabriel? Who is it? Is it a cop? Is it not? So it's just, you're going to have to watch the film to find out what the rest of it is. Not going to tell you.
Good, I like that.
I haven't even signed a contract yet, and I've seen no money, but look at how dedicated I am to not giving away the end. That's pretty good.
Just look back and you say, wow, I didn't realize the talent pool that's all around me. And they always say, if you want to be a successful person, you surround yourself with successful people. Well, I don't know if I'll ever be a successful actor, but I sure got a lot of successful people around me.
Well, it was great. It was wonderful. I think it's the beginning of a new career. Yeah.
Very down to earth, and things still got done, and that was what was so great about it. Is there was this relaxed atmosphere, and at the same time, the work was done, and it turns out it's of a good quality, and I like that.
It was everything I expected and more, and I would do it all over again tomorrow if that was the case. If all the film was ruined and Nick asked, I'd say, sure, let's shoot it again.
meeting Nick like that and having being offered to do a part in this film was by far one of the most unbelievable things in my life, experiences. So I'm really lucky, and I feel lucky right now that I'm able to do this and spend all the time that we did spend together as cast and crew to do this film, which I think is an excellent film.
It was a lot of fun. I also learned that once you do one of these, you can't watch a movie the same ever again, because you will sit there and pick it apart and say, oh, I know how they did that.
Watching movies now on TV takes a whole new, to be able to watch a movie and pick it apart and see how they filmed it, what angles they're using, all sorts of different elements in watching a movie now that we actually did on the set. So you learned a lot.
Now I have to watch a movie twice in order to really enjoy it. The first time I'm looking at framing and the sound and lighting and the different angles of the scenes and everything, and so I never really get to watch the movie, so I have to watch it again to see the story.
And I blame Nick. I'll never be able to enjoy a movie the same again. Thanks.
First class sinners, darling, you know it, and we'll show you a real good time. Come on, girl, let's sin tonight.
Can't believe to work with people this nice, if that was worded properly.
Sorry if I'm blowing this whole interview.
That's okay. You're making it interesting.
Trying.
Unlike this interview that really sucks.
And that is all I have to say about that.
I think today might be your last day. I got this. You're out of here, mister. Now.
Me and my truck, and whatever's connected to it, are out of here.
Hey. On second hand, Jim. You're doing a hell of a job. Let's just keep you around.
Just a hell of a job.
Soda.